Hello. Today we are going to talk about business activity monitoring, what it is and why you need it, and the sort of tech that you can use to put that in place. So starting with what business activity monitoring is. I mean, effectively what it does is it captures information on the execution of your business processes. And that can be one and done. If a process is really fast, you can get to the end of the process, write that in, and you're done. Or if processes take a bit longer, you can actually update them as you go, and we'll give you an illustration of that. And typically, imagine it as you have a row of data for every time your business process executes, and for everything you want to know about that business process, you have a column of data. And that's what it's like. It's like for every process, you've got a table of data and you put stuff in it. Which sounds really easy, but actually the infrastructure of this has a bit more to it. But imagine you've got a business that gets orders from your website. So for every order, you might have a row of data in a table. And that might be the date that the order was taken, and it might be the value of the order, and then when that's picked from the warehouse, you might put that in. So in this case, we've got 4 orders, but only 3 of them have been picked so far. But only 1 of them has been shipped. So I can already see that I've got 1 completed, and I've got 3 in process, but actually 2 of them have shipped. This one's been in there for a number of days. And so we can look at things like SLAs and that sort of thing about how many of you sold today, how many were sold yesterday. So all that instrumentation of what's going on right now in my business. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So what does this mean in terms of why you need it? Well, what information do you need to know in your business to know that your processes are running? And that's the idea of business activity monitoring. How do I know my business is running fine? You instrument your processes and you get that data. And I can see what's happening right now. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff on analytics to know what happened last month, but what's happening right now? That's the question we're sort of answering, is what's going on right now? We can monitor SLAs. I took this order yesterday, it hasn't shipped today. Do I need to alert on that? How can I make sure that things are happening on time and I can take corrective action? So being able to put in business SLAs. But the other thing is that, and this is why the technology choice is kind of important, because the idea is that this is a view of the data for a business user. It's not tech users. It's not some techie going into a database or that, looking through the logs on stuff and the diagnostics. The idea is that we're surfacing this to business users in a way that they can actually action from a business perspective, not from a technical perspective. And so what that means is that not only do you have to capture the data, you need to be able to configure different processes, but you also need to be able to surface that data and surface that data to different people in a way that business users can digest. So what sort of tech supports that? Well, there is a business process tracking module in Azure now. That's quite new. It doesn't cover everything. Quite well established in the market, Turbo 360 has a BAM module for it. So if you want business process tracking, but you need it to be captured from all sorts of different technologies, actually you might be best going the Turbo 360 route. We can advise you on that, get in touch. You could write a custom database, but ultimately you've got to write a database. You've got to find a way of all the different processes getting into that database. How do you surface that up to different users, manage the permissions on that data? It's actually a big job. And if you can buy that capability off the shelf, why wouldn't you? So, business activity monitoring, execution of your processes right now. And so you understand how your business operates. And there is tech in there to make this stuff really easy. So, thing for you is, do you know how well your business is running? And can you get the data on that like that? If you can't, have a look at business activity monitoring and talk to me.